The legend that Spartans never die, or they're just simply missing in action, is a really cool phrase, but we all know it's untrue. Many Spartans have been killed in action. So what happens when they die? What happens to fallen Spartans? Do they get funerals, and how are they? So today we're going to tackle this topic. Let's get into it. The ancient Greek Spartans were some of the best warriors that the world had ever seen by its time, but despite this, they still died on the battlefield in large quantities. Although Spartan law towards death and how to deal with these kind of individuals dying wasn't as badass or impressive as somebody may first think. In many cases, if a Spartan died on the battlefield, they would simply just be buried right there on the spot, and this was due to the impractical nature of lugging around a dead body to other grave sites, or hundreds of miles back to their homeland. Now, if a Greek Spartan managed to die of natural causes, let's say in the comfort of their homes, well, then they would simply be buried just like any other person, and typically there was just no special service for these elite warriors in their funerals. Now, the Halo Spartans, inspired by these warriors, well, their deaths and or funerals were dealt with in a slightly different way.
Didn't think anyone survived Bagasi, sir.
Spartans never died, George. They're just missing in action.
First off, let's talk about the missing in action reports that were very common throughout the war with the Covenant and the Human Covenant War. Now, you might know by now that this was solely to keep morale high and place those Spartans up as demigods of sorts. So they would never say that a Spartan died, instead they would just say they're missing in action. Spartans don't die, they're just missing in action, right? But this was very essential to giving humanity any little bit of positivity and hope, and that was the sole purpose of doing this with fallen Spartans. But now that chapter is complete, and it's finished. The Covenant-Human War has ended with humanity winning, and more information regarding Spartan deaths are slowly coming out. If a Spartan was to be severely killed in a hostile, overwhelmed location, sometimes their fusion core powering the suit would be detonated, causing basically a mini atomic bomb of sorts. Now, there's only a handful of reports of this actually happening, but explosive and fiery deaths did occur. Now, the neat thing about Spartans in a made-up sci-fi world such as Halo is that medical and technological advances can do some very awesome things, especially when you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar suit of armor on a superhuman. For example, Blue Team member Linda, along with many other Spartan 2s, actually had the ability to enter a type of stasis before dying and somehow still hold on to life just long enough to eventually be revived. But how is this possible? Well, of course, the Spartan armor. The Mjolnir armor is as mysterious as the mythological hammer that the name is inspired from. Deep within the inner workings of the armor, there are some special instruments, some special technology that can place the nearly dead human in the Spartan suit into a state of hibernation and preservation. Severe life-ending injuries were able to be halted for extended periods of time, weeks even, until medical assistance could be obtained. For all intents and purposes though, these Spartans, at a time, were in fact dead, but through the power of the Mjolnir armor and other means, they were able to be brought back to the world of the living, and even get back into the battlefield not much longer after being revived. In Halo Fall of Reach, the animation and also the book, John and other Spartan trainees were at a military funeral aboard the Atlas, where almost half of them just died from the dangerous augmentations that made the Spartans so powerful besides the Spartan armor. Flags have been laid over the capsules that which had the fallen Spartan bodies in them, and the officer spoke, "We shall remember our dead," and then said, "We commit the bodies of our fallen to space." The capsules would then be fired and shot off to unknown space. And that was their way of honoring fallen Spartans. Now, the most lore-rich piece of content involving Spartans dying is Halo Reach, which was all about the ending of Reach and also the Spartan 2 Noble Team. Most notably, we have Spartan 6 dying at the end, fighting to the bitter end, but eventually meeting his fate and dying by the hands of the Covenant. Now, there may be some information and lore regarding how the UNSC and ONI have honored Noble 6 and Noble Team, but I just couldn't find it. But due to the secretive and criminal nature of these Spartans, however, it's unclear in my research whether Spartan funerals were or will ever come to the public eye. The context of each Spartan does matter during the Halo timeline when it comes to a proper funeral and military honor, plus with how secretive, for example, Oni is, it's likely that Spartans involved with Oni get very exclusive secret funerals, if any at all. More well-known Spartans, such as the Master Chief, would undoubtedly get some more inclusive military funeral, something much more public and something much more inclusive with the rest of the military and, low-ranking soldiers, for example. But with the lack of family, friends, and a real life, a funeral isn't something guaranteed by any Spartan, although the story might be different with Spartan Force, but that's a whole nother subject here. The Spartan 4 program was crafted after the Human Covenant War, so the politics, ethics, and information was naturally very different everywhere. Instead of Spartans being coerced into a life of being a Spartan, well, there was more wiggle room, like allowing other branches to serve as Spartans, like Buck from Halo 3 ODST, and then put as a Spartan in Halo 5. In addition to this, there was public iteration of the Spartan 4 program, making it much less secretive, much more public, and with the lack of a war on the military's back, things could finally be, I speculate, much more proper. But by the end of it, after thinking about this subject for quite some time, in the Halo lore, I don't think humanity as a whole will ever grasp all that the Spartans have sacrificed. I don't think they will ever appreciate them as much as they should be thanked. An entire life dedicated and eventually dying to saving humanity, that's a big sacrifice, and I don't think they will ever really see that. I think Dr. Halsey says it best at the end of Halo Reach as far as giving thanks and honor, as she says here.
Our victory, your victory, was so close. I wish you could have lived to see it. But you belong to Reach. Your body, your armor, all burned and turned to glass. Everything. Except your courage. That you gave to us. And with it, we can rebuild.
There has been countless funerals without a doubt not discovered in accessible lore, but another big one is Halo 3, Lord Hood honoring fallen soldiers in general, which you could say include the nameless Spartan warriors that weren't given a proper funeral or gratitude for their sacrifices.
For us, the storm has passed. The war is over. But let us never forget those who journeyed into the howling dark and did not return. For their decision required courage beyond measure, sacrifice, and unshakable conviction that their fight, our fight, was elsewhere. As we start to rebuild, this hillside will remain barren, a memorial to heroes fallen. They ennobled all of us.
Spartans never die, they're only missing in action. So, question for you guys, what do you think Halo needs to do to put more focus and emotional attachment and attention towards death in general? Or what about the Spartans? Do you think the whole honorary and respect thing has kind of gone out the window since Halo 4? Let me know what your thoughts about this whole subject and this video and anything we discussed in it down in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts and your feelings. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop it a like, and if you didn't, drop a dislike and let me know why you didn't like it. I am here to improve. Guys, again, thank you so much for your time, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.